Okay, being 6 o'clock, we're going to call the City of Coos Bay Budget Committee meeting to order. Do we have any public comments?
No.
Thank you.
No inside that.
Okay, great. We're going to move right into review of the proposed budget, and we're on Fund 7, Library. Sammy, printed page 93 is where we're going to start today.
All right, well, thank you. And I get to go first. I feel so important. So our budget is fairly status quo. I mean, we have the regular increases that you've seen throughout the budget of, like personnel and the PERS and insurance and that kind of thing. But for the most part, it has stayed the same. And just to remind folks, our operating funds do come from the library service district. And so we are not a part of the general fund. This budget has also been reviewed and recommended by the library board, who have reviewed it several times throughout its transformation to this final one. So, does anybody have any questions?
We'll start on page 93. Looks like you're anticipating 1.29 from the tax base?
That's correct, yes.
Which is a slight decrease from actuals this year. Yeah.
Correct. We do tend to be very conservative on our tax base income.
And could you remind, there's a recalculation done, where are we at in that phasing out of? Oh
yes, the county formula to distribute the money to the various libraries was recalculated a couple years ago. We are currently, this current year we're in right now, we're 50% on the old formula and 50% on the new formula because we phased it in over a few years. This current budget we're looking at here will be 25% old, 75% new. So we want to wait till it's 100% before we get too wild in the income department.
I have a question.
Yes.
This year's proposed budget is quite a bit different than our actual this year. Is that right? 780,000.
Correct.
Versus 1,086,000.
Right, and that's partially due to the fact that we did go conservative on the revenue, so we also scaled back some of the expenditures.
Right, but that's quite a bit of difference. That's only 100,000. This is a difference of 300,000.
We ended up, well, part of it was, most of it went, the changes went into personnel, but we did scale back on things just to make sure we're financially secure.
Mm-hmm. And on page 94, Sammy, it looks like you're adding a part-time librarian. Do you see the change with the proposed salary budget?
Correct.
Is that right?
Well, it's a part-time library assistant we have.
Library assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy, can you remind me what's under contractual, which is a line item ending in 2108?
Sure. That's things like our security, our website, pest control, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Sammy, on page 95, it looks like the contingency is fairly small.
Correct.
Can you speak to that?
Well, unfortunately, we did not have a lot left over to put in our contingency. So yes, it is significantly lower this year.
Well, the only other question I had is there was money set aside for a new library, am I correct? There was money set aside for a new library, is that right? Not at all? Just for the study of the new library. Okay, thanks.
And also just kind of as a reminder, that's the building piece is a city responsibility across the district, so that you wouldn't see that if there had been funds, you wouldn't see that in here. The funds that are so far commingled from, basically donations are under
The foundation has some money set aside for the building, but that's a separate, entity. Mhm. Yeah, the agreement that within the library district is that the cities provide the buildings, the taxing district provides operational funds, which is what this budget is, operational funds.
Jason, Ali, or Rick, any questions from the online folks?
That's it for me.
I don't have anything.
Okay, Steve.
Okay.
No more comments. Thanks, Sammy.
I got a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Building grounds and maintenance went up 15,000. Pretty big percentage increase from 35 to 50, line item 10309, page 94.
Right, and that is both our outside work, but that also includes our janitorial work, our janitorial contract.
Oh, okay, so that's not part of the contract.
No, the janitorial contract is in the building maintenance line.
Okay.
And just to maybe clarify how this is, the current budget that we are operating under right now is 50,000, and we've only spent 35 to date.
Oh, God.
Right.
No, I was reading it wrong.
Yeah. Just for context.
Thank you for clarifying.
Okay, great questions. We're going to keep Sammy up here and move to the Extended Services Office, page 110.
Yes, this is the Extended Services Office budget, which uses the City of Coos Bay as their fiscal agent. They operate the umbrella services for the county libraries, such as the vehicles that run around every day to deliver and some of our larger databases and larger contracts that affect all of the libraries in the county. And Stacy Nix, who is the administrator there, she has done some trimming as best, she could. She eliminated some line items that weren't being used because basically in the funding, the way the funding works is this budget is taken off the top and then the rest is split amongst the libraries. So she really tries to run a very lean operation so that the public libraries get as much money as possible. And this actually has been through the County Library Board and through the budget process on the county level already too.
So Sammy, you do this, does your library, our library, get any income from this?
They do rent space in our facility, yes.
But you're not receiving any admin funds.
There is a small amount that does go to cover some things like their audit and HR coverage and that kind of things. You'll see in the library budget it is listed under to the right page. Sorry. In the library budget, it is line item that ends in 0300 ESO administration /rent.
Did I miss why the carryover balance is so much lower?
For the ESO or for, because she does, it's been a little inconsistent and she's trying to level it out, and so it does appear a little lower, but she's, like I said, she's trimmed everything down to where it will match what her expenses are for the first few months. Any other questions?
Okay, thanks.
Okay,
Sammy.
thank you very much.
Next is Marcy for Buildings Code Fund, page 98.
Good evening. For those that don't know me, Marcy Goodrich, Building Codes Administrator. Providing review of Fund 8, which is under the Community Development. This is Building Codes. So building code supports the administration of our building codes program and the building official duties. It is an enterprise fund, so we are self-supported. We cover 3.7 staff. In this last year, we've really seen a downward trend in permitting revenue. It has continued, for several years previous. So we've got operating expenses and a reduction in our carryover balance. The Building Codes Department's undergone staff changes and roles in the staff over the past year. Changes have led to increased contractual and training expenses. Those have been offset by a reduction in personnel cost. Staffing role changes include relocating the code enforcement over to the Police Department Fund 01243. We've had introduction of countywide permitting program, and it's reflected in our computer software and subscription budget items.
Marcy, or maybe Nicole, this fund should be self-sustaining, correct?
Correct. That is per the state statutes. All building code funds should charge fees that help cover the cost of the service.
And do we have any plans to change these fees, or these are the fees as we know them today?
Those are the fees as we know them today. That's a very formal process to get building fees changed. You have to run them through the State Building Codes Division. And we actually have recently done that to the best of our knowledge at the point in time when we did it. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
we might be a bit out from looking at it again, but
Yeah. Typically, the state enacts new rates, and those are automatically applied. That's listed every February. They go into effect April 1st of every year. We also increased modestly some of our standard fees. That was back in February. So we'll probably adjust this every year in April at the same time as those state fees.
That's what I was going to ask. I thought the building permits went up, and I see it's lower than what we adopted last year. So can you explain that for us?
Just simply a reduction in those applying for permits.
Okay. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
But salaries are up, and so, if I understand, are you looking at hiring another building inspector?
Correct. And actually, the salary rate is down from last year's proposed.
Oh, yes, okay, I'm looking at actual, sorry.
Okay, and we are under that, and that's based on the reduction in personnel right now.
Okay, other questions for Marcy?
I was just wondering if you could give us a little overview of how much building permits are like per permit, maybe by commercial or residential, so we just have a idea of how that looks.
Well, they are all over the board. A minimum fee is $150 per permit, and then they're calculated again on square footage of the structure, the type of the build. So depending upon that safety level that's incorporated into the construction, those rates are adjusted.
So how many permits did you estimate would be applied for then in the proposed budget?
Gosh, we were actually just calculating those numbers recently, but on average, we do anywhere between 45 and 80 in a month.
Okay. Thank you.
That doesn't count the plan checks and the other things.
No.
Marcy, I don't know if it's a silly question, but I see we've got proposed $180,000 for building permits, but I see 0 plumbing permits and 0 electrical permits.
That is correct.
Is there a technical reason for that? Or?
That is. We don't support those programs here. They're handled through the State Building Administration Office out of Coquille. Mm-hmm.
Okay, great questions. Thanks, Marcy.
Thank you.
Moving to page 88, lodging tax funds. Nicole.
All right, so this starts the long trek of listening to me present, so patience, here we go. Lodging tax fund, just for folks to understand, this is a fund where the hoteliers and also Airbnb, all of those types of overnight stay facilities collect on behalf of the city the fee that the council establishes. So this budget is reflective of that. The change that you'll kind of see in here is kind of a right sizing of the management agreement for the Visitor Information Center. So that is what you see in the revenues for it's 0100, 0200, the tax, both general and VCB. That's just the explanation there. Historically, we gave a larger portion when our revenues were much lower. And then into expenses, we had, like throughout most funds, some change in allocation of staff based on what we foresee this next year will bring as far as projects. And the rest of what's there is just kind of the, the balance of how we spend the rest of those dollars there, trying to cover the contractual obligations or things that we already have in place. So happy to answer any questions if there's anything that stands out to you guys.
So Nicole, under special projects, that's up quite a bit, 59,000.
Yeah, so for this fund, that's where we kind of run that balancing place through. That's why it's a weird number, just leaving enough kind of in contingency in case we have any overages. That's just the balance, basically revenues over expenses. What we have in there, traditionally we purchased those large trash cans around the community in our high tourism areas. We've purchased flags for the boardwalk and our banners and things like that in that.
Okay, and the community events is down 15,000.
Yeah, and that's kind of just a right sizing of that. What we traditionally have in there is support of the Fun Festival. Mm-hmm. We have our summer movie nights that we do in conjunction with the Coos watershed. Our Christmas trees and our fireworks is what's run out of there, and that's really kind of where we land normally in there. There is a little bit of discussion. We heard the conversation this last meeting about the maintenance of the boardwalk, so we do believe that there are funds in here, especially when you look at special projects that we can consider. We've done a little bit of legwork to know potentially what a cost might be to get some outside support for that, knowing that we don't have a lot of folks dedicated to our parks on staff. So we'll continue those conversations, but I think we find some space in this fund to cover some better attention to that facility.
Thank you.
So the PERS is not for the employees for the VCB. Those are PERS costs that are related to the city.
Correct. Those are cities. This is city staff in that personnel services.
Okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. The amount that goes to the city's contribution based on our being a partner in that, the Visitor Convention Bureau, is in line 2429. That's our contribution, which covers both that agreement between all four parties and our fee to them to manage the Visitor Information Center.
Which is also outlined by statute, correct?
Correct.
The portion that we give.
Yes, what we need to do for
VCB.
promotion.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nicole, I think I heard you just say that special projects is the line that we would use to potentially address the request about more maintenance on the boardwalk. Is that right?
Yeah, I think there's some gap in that, and just a small tad maybe in community events we could realign some things there. But
Okay.
yeah, we'll continue to have that conversation, but we do have some legwork to know what those costs could be.
Okay. And I know we haven't gone out to bid because I know we need to do that, but roughly, is there like a number that?
So just an initial kind of ask out in the world. I think we're looking around to $20,000 a year for a weekly kind of general maintenance that can include some cleaning, some weeding, some
Power washing?
just
Okay.
general,
Great.
Clean up all the pigeon stuff.
And like you said, that's just an ask out in the world. We of course would go through a process to get a couple quotes and make sure that it's within line, and then go enter into contract negotiations. All those things still need to happen, but
Okay. Thank you, Nicole.
Nicole, I think that the Christmas tree is in community events.
It is.
How much is that costing us?
It's roughly 15-ish for both trees. Let's 15.7 or something is what we paid for 2025 trees. And we get that from, I think, an organization out of Grants Pass. It's hard to find big trees and get them transported in a decent shape. So.
And fireworks are out of special projects?
Fireworks are out of community events currently.
And what's that cost roughly?
So we actually enter in an agreement in February and make a deposit. We historically spend around 20 to 25. The costs have gone up in the last year or two. This year we made a decision to support at a little bit higher level because of being the 250th birthday of the United States. So we're supporting, I think, at a $40,000 level, but the intention would be to drop that back down. And we'll have the same situation where we'll go into contract in February. We pay final deposit in July.
Do we think that fireworks are safe given our fire danger?
Well, I would, definitely want to have some feedback from the chief, but we do, we can contract with folks who do this. We do have our team is out there to be responsive if something is to happen, acknowledging it's in the middle of the height of fire season. So
yeah, I know the
probably
city of,
safer than the stuff that's going off
around
from
town.
homes.
I know the city of Vancouver, who had a huge fireworks display for many years, chose to cut their firework display out of their 4th of July celebration, and they still do a big 4th of July celebration, but they've incorporated some different ways to celebrate that event, given the cost, and two, the increased fire danger. So it might just be something that we want to think about in the future.
Yeah, that's fair. I was in Portland during New Year's, and they did a drone light show, which looked like fireworks. So, I don't know what it costs, but it was very cool.
Outrageously expensive. I forget how much it was.
Okay, well, that's why it was so cool then. But, yeah.
Jeff, do you want to speak to that at all?
Yeah, the fire department has a drone, right?
I'd also like to know what
One
the
drone up
cost
there.
is for the fire department, right, for the labor of that.
So we stopped doing the actual lighting of the fireworks last year, and we contracted the same company that does the casinos show.
Casino?
I'm sorry? So there was a little bit of increase in cost for that, but it also decreases our labor costs, so it was actually an offset and positive for us. For fire danger, though, the grass out there is fairly green, and for the history that I've been here for 20 years, lighting fireworks off, we've had one grass fire out there in the port property, and we were able to put it out within like 2 minutes. It was very quickly, a small little fire. And we always upstaff that day anyway. So we do not have a big concern with increased fire danger for that time period, but would be something we would always be considering. I also did check into a drone light show, and for doing a 20-minute show was over $100,000. So, but, yeah, absolutely.
If I'm correct, the one in Portland met with resounding disappointment. Like, there were people that were like literally losing their minds about not having fireworks.
But
I think if we consider that in the future, that we need to get community input from that. That's, no. I just, you know, I don't know.
Councillor
I-
Dino,
if I-
the
if I
football
rem-
casino does do fireworks during the 4th of July, correct?
We do,
Third.
and we spend a lot more than the city of Coos Bay.
On the 3rd, though.
Yeah, July 3rd.
And if I remember correctly, where you do the fireworks is also where we just had that discussion on how wet those lands are when we were looking at the housing joint project with the port, so.
Yeah, same
There's a lot of
space,
water.
for sure.
I think there might be an opportunity to get creative, you know. The drones are maybe not landing well, but we're right on the bay, maybe some kind of waterworks show, big lit up water jets or something, I don't know. Spray people down.
Like the Bellagio, right here in Coos Bay.
That's where my brain is going, is like, oh, like Bellagio, you get some kind of big.
Have you been out there on the 4th of July and the wind's blowing?
I know, it's always like the coldest day in July, I swear, but.
Jason, did you have a comment about fireworks or this fund?
I guess on the fireworks thing, I feel like it's a special event, and unless there's an unreasonable amount of risk, I feel like we should continue to do it. On a separate note, on the Visitors Convention Bureau, I did notice that the budgeted amount is quite a bit down, and so I just wanted an explanation as to like why we're thinking that quite a bit less is going to be spent on the VCB.
Yeah, great question. Nicole's got a great answer.
Can I actually maybe need you to repeat that? It wasn't clear.
I'm sorry about that. I was wondering about why the VCB budget was down so much.
In the resources?
No, in the amount.
He's talking about
spent,
fund
the amount spent. Like it went to 563,000. Yeah, 2429 is down quite a bit.
Okay, great. Yes. So it kind of relates to, you know, the resources that come in, and I just guess I didn't hit it on the head too well earlier, but historically, so what we contribute to the VCB is a contractual arrangement that's in alignment with the state statute. So we, in collecting TLT revenues, need to give a percentage to promotional kind of activities or facilities that are for tourism. So we have historically, the city has participated in a intergovernmental agreement with the city of North Bend, the Coquel Indian Tribe, and now Coos County to give a portion of our funds over to the VCB. So that obligation is already in place, and that's part of what you see here. The reduction is due to historically for 10 or 12 years, the VCB has been managing our Visitor Information Center. They took over that from the Chamber. And our arrangement with the Chamber just kind of carried over into the VCB, which was 50% of our portion of revenues from the transient lodging tax collections. That back then is a lot different than how that is now under a really strong management team who's really marketing this area. And I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity to have listen in on some of the presentations that Janice has done in regards to the impact for tourism for this area. So 50% years ago versus 50% today is really significant. We had this conversation with the management team at the VCB last fall that we were going to contemplate this, shifting this to actually giving the funds to them that are that tied to the actual running of the center. So we fund fully the costs of the Visitor Information Center's budget, along with a 10% management fee. So that allows us to keep more funds here at the city, and again, those need to go into promotional efforts, but that's what allows us to do some of these other community events and things here. We just kind of right-sized that agreement.
All right, thank you.
Sorry, long explanation, maybe unnecessary,
No,
but.
No, I did need that, so.
In fact, the VCB is going to have a luncheon this month, right?
Yes, if people want to learn more about the contribution tourism makes to this
Yeah,
community.
and they're sponsoring a lunch for anyone who wants to show up, and they make a presentation and go through the whole thing. So if you get a chance, Jason, you might want to come.
It's next Wednesday at Coquel Casino Resort. It's in conjunction with the Wednesday Business Connection.
Awesome. Nicole, in contractual, I see charges for the Santa cans, so we don't own those.
We do not.
You know, the boardwalk?
They're in various places throughout the
right.
downtown area. We have one behind Ginny's Shoes, kind of in that block there. Out on the boardwalk, there's, I think, in Empire area too. We have gone back and forth on whether or not we want to own them or just rent them. Right when they see a lot of use, they're used hard in some spaces, and so not being the owner of them, so far seems to be the right choice.
Because they maintain them.
Yes. Yeah, so if there's problems with any of, we just can call and they bring a new one back in.
How much is one?
Gosh, I knew that was coming. I have no idea. I don't know if we know that even off the top of our head.
I think we've already learned, just as we talk about the boardwalk and we talk about maintenance, we don't have enough staff to do what we want today. And I don't know how much the cost of the Santa cans is, but I think we should consider staying with the arrangement that we have, just because we don't have the manpower to be able to make sure that they're cleaned. I imagine they're cleaned weekly or bi-weekly to make sure that the guests have a good experience.
Yeah, they've been vandalized. They've been tossed into ponds. They've been destroyed dirty-wise. I think as far as maintenance goes, that's probably the bigger issue, not whether we're going to save money owning them. We probably would, but then we have all the other expenses that go with having them.
Well, we probably don't have the capital to buy them either.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
However, Chair Stevens, I really appreciate the fact that you are willing to turn over everything, because we started this conversation last Tuesday with the fact that we don't have a lot of carryover. So making sure that we're looking at all the expenses, I think, is important and is really our duty.
The only other question I have, given your comments, Councilor DeNovo, is the $7,000 David's chair. It's costing us, and I think it's a great resource. I just don't know the usage, so I would be curious about that.
Yeah, that's fair. I don't know that we even get a report. They work kind of conjunction with the Visitor Information Center. There's and then also there's a member of the American Legion who coordinates that. They come and clean it after it's been used, and they come and check it out. So getting some reporting, yeah, can do that. It's not going to be timely for this meeting, but yeah.
Honestly, to your point, I think the VCB could quite honestly pick up that expense. What I would say is this, is that the state of Oregon is now accessible. It's Wheel of the World accessible. We're the first state to be that. Because not only is it the right thing to do, but we do know it drives visitation if we are an accessible community. There are a number of facilities and hotels in this community that are. So the fact that we offer, and I know you're not opposing the service, but the fact that we offer the service, I think, is incredibly important. We see in Yahots, there's Moby Mats. The state of Oregon just got the group, Oregon Coast Visitors Association just received the Governor's Award at the Oregon Tourism Conference on this very thing. Because, again, it's the right thing to do. We're all aging. We all want access to the places, right, that we want to go. And so, to your point, Sarah, $100, I think the VCB could clearly pick up that expense in their budget if we wanted to strike it as one representative on that committee.
Yeah, so I think, you know, it behooves us obviously to know what the usage is. I do hear here and there from the American Legion rep that he was there, you know, getting it checked out, cleaning it. So I know it gets used. I don't know what that means. Like, they can check it out for a day, for a week. Yeah, so.
So what I hear you saying, Nicole, is that you don't necessarily need us to strike any of these, but you are going to find money in this, whether that's within community events, contractual, or the special projects line to fund the maintenance on the boardwalk.
We are going to absolutely do that work to find some space.
Yeah, and the
there.
fireworks, if you have 40,000 this year, that'll be $15,000 less next year. That's 15,000 out of the 20, so it's not going to take a lot, right?
I don't think it will take a lot to figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah, but we will work together to make sure we're not shorting someone else's plans throughout the year. We just want to be really thoughtful, so, yeah.
Maybe like we can't sponsor at the same level for community events or something.
Yeah, I hear that, for sure. Yeah.
And I just want to be clear, because you said cutting grass or weed eating, that's already being done. What's not being done is maintaining those buildings and the mildew and the pigeon droppings, all that.
Yeah, so I didn't catch that, but it was corrected by the mayor, so yes.
So they're going to pressure wash weekly, and that means all the pigeon stuff. They will also weed eat if they need to, and they'll put flowers in the planters down there throughout the year. And what else was in there? Anyway, that's what I thought it was very reasonable.
And that was just an initial ask, right? Just to get an idea what we'd be talking about dollar-wise. So we still need to do our due diligence and find out, you know, from a couple other entities who do similar service. So, yeah, the intention would be to do as much as we can, right? Not just to do a quick sweep through, but yeah.
Honestly, though, Brenda, I mean, that would go a long way, right? And we're not seeing it, you know, done today, so I think it would look remarkably different. And yes, I get your point that we're going to have to continue over time to work on, you know, fixing the boardwalk. But I think just that maintenance would go a long way to make it a different experience.
I
down
do
there.
think the first time they're there is going to take twice the amount of time a weekly maintenance will be. So.
So they're going to do it weekly, and it'll be, it says mowing as needed, blowing out the pavilions, weed control, pressure washing bird feces, picnic tables and benches, and then flowers are added, and so it'll be, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great. Okay. Moving to page 107, which is the Go Bond Fund. Nicole, General
Yes,
Obligation
thank you.
Bond.
So this is our general obligation bond, which was entered into in 2009, and it was for the construction of the fire station on Elrod. We are ending we're in the final stretch here, so our last payment will be in this next fiscal year. And while we would love to keep something on the books to fund another project, we're just not in the place to do that, to get that on the ballot right away. We want to be thoughtful, and we want to do that work in a way that the community can get behind it. So because of that, and the way GeoBond issuances are structured, you tax in your first year in enough to put money in reserves, so we don't need to tax in this next year. We have enough in reserves to cover our payment. Additionally, if there are any revenues that remain after that final payment is closed out, those are transferred to the general fund because that's our taxing base. So all of that per statute, that's the process that happens. So this one is really just what's here is going to get paid to close out that bond, and then it will stay on here for historical purposes unless the governing body decides there's another project they'd like to lift, and we'll start that whole process again.
Okay, any questions for Nicole? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move to page 125, jurisdictional exchange. Nicole.
So this fund is a gift from the state of Oregon It's one of those gifts that never stops giving.
Gift,
You have to kind of find some happiness in this, right? We, the city of Coos Bay, and all jurisdictions throughout the state of Oregon, took over ownership of state highway systems that run within your city limits. For us, that means 6th Avenue, D Street in Eastside, Keep Barago Highway in Empire, Highway 241, which is this really long route that runs Ocean, Central, Commercial, Anderson, and then what's considered a Coos Bay frontage road, so it's kind of a portion of 101 areas. We took that over, as did all the other local municipalities, and they gave us $4.8 million to help us manage that over the life of those roads. By voter approval only can we spend the corpus of that, so the 4.8 stays unless there's a project by which the voters want us to complete, and we spend the interest. The interest can only be spent on those roadways, so we just let it accumulate till we can fund something. Historically, we have used it for Coos River Highway a number of times because there are some really challenges out there. So, any questions? Happy to answer. It's pretty tied down and restricted though, so.
Okay, seeing none, we're going to move to Rainy Day Fund 127.
This fund is essentially the city's savings account. It was established in 2008 by resolution that requires we annually contribute 2.5% of the general fund's carryover balance into this fund. We have used it on occasion. It is required to go back to a vote of council if we're going to use these dollars. The goal is to continue saving. As it stands currently, $1.5 million is really not going to help in a really dire situation, but we do have something, so.
Any questions for Nicole on the Rainy Day Fund? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move to the Capital Improvement Fund, page 130.
So this fund includes historically our technology fund, our special local improvement district fund, our timber sales come in here. These were major capital kind of items. We combined all of those funds together into this one. So what's in here is what will remain. You'll notice that some of this was what transferred over to Fund 2, our transportation fund. And you'll see that until it falls off history-wise. We are currently in a timber sale. We've learned from our timber management team that we're going to probably hold off on timber sales for a little bit of time to make sure our stands can get caught up with our harvesting schedule we had been under. And so what is here is just our kind of our best guess, knowing that we're probably not going to see these kinds of revenues for some time. So we want to be really thoughtful with these dollars that we have here and maybe preserve some of them if possible. So there are some building improvements. We know there's several buildings that we own. This one is specifically, we have some concerns with our HVAC here. It's really crucial that we keep our system from failure because of our servers room that supports the dispatch. And again, we provide 911 dispatch for the whole county now, so it's a pretty significant lift. The LID dollars that are in here are restricted based on the LID plan that we had. And again, this covers our technology here at the City of Coos Bay, which is really our IT support team. So questions, anybody has any?
Sorry, how much are we spending for IT support?
That is a large portion of what is in contractual. I want to say it's around between our subscriptions through them for our different software packages and our support. I think it's around 12 to 13,000 a month. But we have quite a few hours of support, and it's, again, we have that obligation with having the dispatch here. We need to maintain service, so
most of that goes to the police department, not city council.
Well, there is some supports here, but yeah, it's a ticket-based system, so how many hours we have.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, seeing no other questions, we're going to go to the System Development Charges Fund, which, Nicole, we don't actually have SCDs, correct?
We do not have any SDCs. We haven't for, a couple decades, I think. So these are historic collected ones, which can be spent. There's a SDC plan that speaks to how we can spend those dollars. Pretty limited, so they'll likely just sit here and continue to collect interest until something comes up.
Can I go back to the capital improvement fund for just a second?
Sure.
Yeah.
Under the construction bike paths, we don't have anything at all? Is there no plans on further construction of bike paths?
So all of those items, along with the revenues associated with transportation related infrastructure, now reside in Fund 2, our transportation fund.
Okay.
So there's history there. That's why they still show up on the
Gotcha.
page.
Thank
you.
Is there any way to add a note to that in our next year's budget so we don't have to
Keep asking.
wonder where these things go? Instead of just putting a dash, I wonder if there's a way to help.
Yeah. I'm just going to look and see if we had it in the cover page.
Oh, it's probably in there, yeah. Bike's pet path.
Yeah, it's in the.
You
It's
have to
in
read
all
it.
the words.
You have to read it.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes.
Yeah.
it's-
I mean, it's a huge budget, right? So
Yeah.
you can to catch all the details.
Yeah,
So
it's a big packet.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay, any other questions on capital improvement or the SDC fund? Jason?
No, not on that. I have a general comment a little bit later.
Let's hear it.
I guess my general comment is that I'm noticing that there's budgeting kind of like spending all available revenues kind of throughout most of the budget and not much in contingency or carryover balance, even though it seems like there's some intention that there really will be a carryover balance. And so it looked like about 2 years ago, there was a little difference in the way the budgeting process was put together. So maybe just a comment on that and why that is. I'm thinking it relates to if you don't budget for the expenditure, then you can't spend it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we budget both revenues and expenses based on what we believe will happen. Expenses more so related to actuals. So while it has the appearance that we don't give a great effort into preserving carryover and or contingency, this is where we are at right now. And without a significant shift in our service levels, our personnel, it isn't there. So we either have to make a decision as a body that we want to reduce service levels, we want to reduce staffing in order to see a carryover increase or a contingency increase. This is where we are. Like, there just isn't unless we do some significant cuts. And we are presenting a way to preserve through another year. The services this community is kind of accustomed to the best that we can. I don't know if that answers the question necessarily.
Well, I think it does, but it seems like on the expense side that historically, like the last 2 years, or at least last year, there was the same presentation, and yet you see a large carryover balances at the beginning of this year's budget, and then there's a similar budget of expenditures for the current year, but it seems like there's maybe not really plans to spend all the money because some of it is maybe discretionary projects that probably won't happen.
I mean, that's a
I don't know,
possibility.
that's
I would. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just say that's just kind of how it looks to me, and I think I just want an explanation as to like the change in budgeting philosophy.
I don't know that it's a change in philosophy. I just think we're starting to see the outcomes of where we've been traveling towards, right? The carryovers are getting lower. We are trying to be really conservative on resources coming in. And when you see larger carryovers, it's because we were so dang conservative for fear of overspending cash we did not have. So, keeping our expenses tight and our resources, known resources as tight as we can, that difference ends up being kind of that carryover in excess of what we planned for. I guess if there's a different alternative, we'd be happy to hear a different way to approach it, but.
Well, Nicole, and I think we started this whole conversation last Tuesday with PERS going up, right, 30%. So quite honestly, we're doing less with more. So I think we're going to see less carryover, and that is not an expense that we can control. It continues to go up, and we don't have any control over it. And so, again, we're doing less with more.
And I think that's indicative of pretty much every jurisdiction or municipality across the state. Anything that deals with taxes and insurance and retirement funds.
Great discussion.
Yes.
I have one more question. This is my last one. With the grant coordination, when I read the position titles, it says HR coordinator, finance assistant, and grant coordinator. So it's just part-time grant coordinator?
She's actually a full-time position. She was actually here at the city already and just reallocated that resource. She was doing a lot of that support in the department she was in. So
she is now full-time grant?
She was already a full-time position. We've just focused that in on very specific grant writing, grant administration, grant reporting.
Okay, so you might want to change that on your, because it still says HR coordinator, finance assistant.
Okay, I'm going to look and see what you're seeing.
Page 140.
I don't think that's not just one position, right? Like, that's listing multiple positions.
No, that's...
Sorry, I'm getting there.
That's not enough for 3 positions, 4,900.
It's the steps, so it's HR coordinator is paid this rate, the finance assistant.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, I was reading that they were doing all those jobs.
Oh, no. Sorry. Those
Okay.
are 3 separate positions.
So the grant writer is now full-time as a coordinator. Perfect, thank you.
Yes, sorry. Thank you for answering that. Flipping the right page.
Makes sense.
Okay, moving to closed funds, page 136.
So this is just for presentation purposes. Again, we have to keep these on the books while there is still historic information there. And happy to talk about what this fund was if we need to.
And then we come to the final pages that Brenda was alluding to, which talks about the City of Coos Bay salary schedule. And just to note for the grant coordinator, from the reporting period of July 1st, 2024 through May of 2026, they have, Nicole, correct me if I'm wrong, they've either brought in or managed just under $6 million for the city, correct?
Correct.
They actually brought it in, or that's what they?
So on the report, and happy to share this with everybody else if you're interested, but 5.9 million in funds that this position supported. So we had some initial dollars here in related to the homeless response and rapid rehousing that they took over administration and reporting to the state of Oregon on, and then it's awarded and or pending.
And or pending, that's what
Yeah,
I say. That's
yeah. So 475 is kind of actively out there awaiting response.
Right.
But secured $763,000. $763,000.
5.3 fully awarded or pending contract execution.
Great.
So the position is doing
It
what
is-
we wanted
it is-
it to do, and I think
yes.
that's Brenda's question,
Yeah.
correct?
Oh, yeah, no, I commented to you earlier. I think that's very good.
Yeah, and we're working on how we can get this reported out on our website. One thing the city historically does is we do the work. We don't do a lot of shout out about getting that work done. So we can always do better with that.
Okay, any other remaining questions or general comments before we move to the public hearing? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the public hearing where we're welcoming citizen input on the use of the state revenue sharing funds. So I'll open the public hearing. Do we have any public comments? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. And we'll move to the required motions for fiscal year 26-27. The first being a motion to approve the permanent tax rate.
I so move.
Second?
Can we state what that motion is for the public?
Absolutely. I received a motion from Brenda to approve imposing the city's maximum permanent tax rate of 6.3643 per $1,000 taxable assessed value for fiscal year 26-27, with a second from President DeNovo. Any discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving to the second motion, which is I would accept a motion to approve the budget for fiscal year 26-27. This motion completes a required element of the process for adopting the budget for fiscal year 25 through 26 and providing 26 27, sorry,
Yeah.
and providing the city with appropriation authority beginning July 1st, 2026. So I'd entertain a motion.
I make a motion.
Thank you. And a second?
I'll second. I'll second it.
Thanks, Brenda. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And that concludes our 2026-2027 Budget Committee meeting. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for the last 2 Thursdays. We appreciate your time.
Chair Stevens, and a big thank you to you for all of your work on this. It made it very smooth. Thank you.
And a cheers to the finance department. You do a wonderful job, and all the department heads.